Welcome back. Today, we're diving into three of the densest, most revealing pages in James Joyce's Ulysses. What kicks off as a pretty simple breakfast scene in a seaside tower, well, it quickly spirals into a battle for the very soul of Ireland. Welcome to the Episode 9 summary of the Ulysses Unlocked podcast, where we analyze Ulysses by James Joyce one page at a time. And hey, if you get something out of this, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment to support us. For much more detailed analysis, you can listen to the full Ulysses Unlocked podcast wherever you get your podcasts. So here's how we're going to break down these incredible pages. We'll start with the breakfast insults, then decode the mockery behind them. After that, we'll see a mysterious messenger arrive, explore how she becomes a symbol for Ireland, and wrap it all up with a really powerful moment about language and colonialism. All right, so the scene opens up with three young men just having breakfast. You've got Stephen Dedalus, our brooding artist. Then there's Haines, a visiting Englishman who's kind of fascinated by Irish culture. And the guy who just dominates the room, the witty, cynical medical student, Buck Mulligan. Now, Mulligan's quick wit, it isn't just for show. It is a full-blown satirical assault on the Irish literary revival. That whole movement led by people like W.B. Yeats, which was trying to forge a new Irish identity through old myths and folklore. So Joyce, speaking through Mulligan, launches this surgical strike with just one line. Seriously, it is packed with meaning. So let's break down all the layers of this insult. Okay, first, the Fishgods of Dundrum. What he's doing here is he's taking real Irish mythology, the Fomorians, and just mashing it together with Dundrum. Now, Dundrum was home to a lunatic asylum and the printing press run by the sisters of W.B. Yeats. So in one fell swoop, he's calling the work of the revival's greatest poet both nonsensical and, literally crazy. Next up, he calls them the Weird Sisters. This is a direct shot from Shakespeare's Macbeth. He's painting Yeats' artist sisters, Elizabeth and Lily, not as these cultural pioneers, but as strange, kind of creepy witches. And finally, the year of the big wind. Here he's making fun of their press for using this historic, almost mythic phrase to describe a recent storm, basically accusing them of faking a sense of ancient importance. So the key thing to get is, Mulligan isn't just being funny. He's systematically taking apart the revival, painting it as pretentious, inauthentic, and frankly, a bit mad. And this really makes you wonder, right? Is Mulligan just a cynic, or is there some truth to what he's saying? Is he actually exposing a kind of hollow sentimentality that had crept into the movement? Now that's a tension we explore in way more detail in the full podcast. And just as Mulligan's mockery is at its peak, the whole scene just pivots. A new figure appears in the doorway, an old milkwoman. For Stephen, this is absolutely no ordinary milk delivery. In his mind, she's something more. He sees her as old and secret, maybe even a messenger, arriving from some kind of mythic morning world. This is a direct link to Homer's Odyssey. Stephen, who's our modern-day Telemachus, imagines this humble old woman might just be the goddess Athena, who comes to Telemachus in disguise to give him courage and guidance. You can feel how desperately he's searching for meaning, for some kind of sign. And in this very moment, the milkwoman transforms into this powerful symbol. And the way Stephen and Mulligan react to her, well, it reveals their two completely opposed visions of Ireland itself. And this comparison just illustrates the conflict perfectly. Stephen, in his head, sees her as a mythic figure, the Silken Kine, a wandering immortal. But Mulligan, ever the medical student, just talks to her with this loud, patronizing bedside manner, seeing only physical decay, a country full of rotten teeth and rotten guts. But what really stings Stephen the most is that the woman, this symbol of Ireland he reveres, completely ignores him. She bows her head to Mulligan, the practical medicine mon, the one with the loud, confident voice. It just deepens his sense of alienation. The very soul of Ireland doesn't even recognize its artist. And in his resentment, Stephen's mind just snaps back into a really dark place. He thinks of her using language pulled directly from the most misogynistic parts of Catholic doctrine. Unclean loins, the serpent's prey. It's a shocking turn, and it shows just how deeply the church he claims he's rejected still has its hooks in his mind. So we have to ask ourselves, What does this contradiction even mean? Why does the guy who sees her as a goddess also condemn her as a source of sin? It's a really complex psychological knot, and to hear us really try to untangle it, you'll want to check out the full episode of Ulysses Unlocked.
But Joyce isn't done yet. The final, crushing layer of this scene unfolds around language itself, and it happens when Haines, the Englishman, tries to speak Irish to the old woman.
And here we get the scene's central, bitter irony. The woman who symbolizes Ireland, she doesn't understand her own native tongue. In fact, she thinks it's French. And get this, the Englishman is the one pushing for the Irish to speak their own language. Meanwhile, the two educated Irishmen, Stephen and Mulligan, they're either silent or sarcastic about it. The whole thing is just upside down. This connects directly to one of Joyce's biggest themes. What does it mean to be an artist under colonial rule? As Stephen says in a portrait, he feels he can never truly own the English language. It will always be the conqueror's tongue. His very soul, he says, frets in the shadow of his language. So the crucial point here is this. What looks like a simple breakfast is actually a tiny snapshot of all of Ireland's conflicts. It's about the fight between myth and reality, the artist's place in society, the long shadow of the church, and the deep, deep wounds of colonialism. And all of this leaves us with one last haunting question. If the very soul of the country has lost its own voice, how can an artist like Stephen ever hope to create something authentically Irish? Or is he, and for that matter, is Joyce himself, forever trapped, creating masterpieces in the shadow of the conqueror's language?